Have you ever wondered what happens after you die? Not the kind of near-death experience where you black out, see some lights, and wake up confused. I mean actual death. The kind where everything is stripped away and you see the truth. All of it. I used to be just like you. I believed in the physical world, my job, my wristwatch, and the bills piling up on the kitchen counter. I didn't believe in anything beyond this life. No angels, no afterlife, no light, no promises. Until one day, I died. My name is David Miller. I'm 52 years old, living in Oregon. I'm a structural engineer. I have a wife, a teenage son, and a golden retriever named Milo. A quiet life, so ordinary it might seem boring to some. But I loved that kind of boring. It was a Saturday morning, September 24th, 2022. I woke up like I always did. Fried eggs, black coffee with 2 spoonfuls of sugar. Milo was circling the table like a little whirlwind, and my wife was watering the plants out on the porch. I looked out toward the pine forest in the distance, sunlight pouring through the trees like a sheer golden curtain. There was something strangely peaceful about it all. At 9:45, I went into my home office, planning to finish up a few revisions on the 3rd floor design. At 10:37, I was adjusting a detail on the balcony railing when my vision suddenly blurred. I closed my eyes and rubbed my temples. Thought to myself, probably just tired. But just a few seconds later, I knew. The room tilted slightly, like a ship losing its balance. My heartbeat turned erratic. A sharp pain pierced the back of my neck, like someone driving a steel needle into it. I tried to stand, but my legs wouldn't respond. I tried to call out my wife's name, but no sound came. My mouth opened, but the breath stopped. All I could hear was Milo barking frantically outside. Then the sound of my wife's footsteps pounding up the stairs. And then I fell. Everything faded to a silvery gray. Coffee spilled across my drafting table. Ink bled into the blueprints. My hand trembled violently, like my soul was slipping out of my body. The room tilted slightly, like a ship losing its balance. My heartbeat turned chaotic. A sharp, stabbing pain shot through the back of my neck, like someone had driven a steel pin straight in. I tried to stand, but my legs no longer answered. I tried to call out my wife's name, but no sound came. My mouth opened, but the breath caught in my throat. All I could hear was Milo barking frantically outside. Then my wife's footsteps pounded up the stairs. I collapsed. Everything shifted to a silvery gray. Coffee spilled across my drafting table. Ink smeared the pages. My hand trembled violently, as if my soul was slipping out of my body. I saw myself reaching for the phone, but missed. My eyes were wide open, yet the world around me began to drift away. It felt like a thick pane of glass was pushing me out, separating me from everything I once called reality. And then, silence. No more footsteps, no more barking, no more screams from my wife. Only a thick, velvety darkness remained. And in that darkness, a sliver of light began to open. When I opened my eyes, I was no longer me. The first thing I felt was lightness, as if the weight of my body, every ache, every burden, every ounce of weariness from 52 years of living had just fallen away, like a boulder cast into a deep ravine. I was floating. I didn't know if I was standing, lying down, or drifting, but I knew this. I was no longer on the floor where I had collapsed. I was far above, looking down at the room as if it were a photograph taken from the ceiling. And there I saw myself. A lifeless body lay there, eyes slightly open, mouth agape, as if trying to speak a final word that never came. My wife had collapsed beside me, sobbing uncontrollably. Her hands were trembling as she dialed 911. Milo was barking hoarsely, his round eyes filled with tears. I watched it all like an outsider. No fear, no sorrow, no screaming. Just one feeling remained. Peace. A peace so profound it almost felt suspicious. There was no more time, no ticking clock, no boundary between eyes closed and eyes open. Everything I had ever known about existing was gone. I tried to speak. No sound came out. But whenever I thought of something, it happened instantly. I thought of my father. He passed away when I was 17, and in that very moment, he appeared. Not as a ghost, not in his old familiar body, but as a presence, a translucent light, and yet I knew it was him. I can't explain it in words. It was just a knowing, as clear and certain as morning sunlight touching your cheek. He didn't speak, but I heard him. "Hello, son." I didn't cry, even though I probably should have. He looked at me, or maybe it was more like he touched me with a gaze I couldn't see, and then he smiled. That smile held everything: an apology, love, pride, and forgiveness. Before I could ask a single question, everything around me began to shift. Not like a scene change in a movie, but as if space itself were unfolding layer by layer, dimension by dimension. I saw my house, then it faded. I saw my neighborhood, then it shrank into a single glowing point. I saw the sky then, even though dissolved into the soft, dark expanse I was drifting in. And then I fell, but not downward. I fell inward. There were no colors like the ones in this world, and yet everything was more radiant than anything I've ever known. There were no sounds, yet something echoed through it all, like eternal music. I wasn't listening with my ears. I wasn't seeing with my eyes. Everything was happening directly in my awareness. No intermediaries, no limits of the senses. And then I could feel everyone. I could feel every person I had ever met, even if it was only once. Those I had loved and those I had hurt. They were all here. Not by form, but by presence. It was a garden of souls, an ocean of beings, yet no one crowded the other. A realm filled with radiant essences. None of them judged me. They simply looked at me, quietly, as if they knew everything. And then I began to see my life all over again, but not as flashbacks or faded memories. It was like entering a new dimension, where every memory wasn't just a recollection, but a living, breathing reality unfolding all over again. I saw myself at 7 years old, sitting alone in the schoolyard, crying after being left behind. I saw myself at 16, riding my bike through town, turning back to glance at the girl I once loved but never dared to tell. I saw myself at 38, forgetting to wish my wife a happy birthday, and how she turned away to hide the tears in her eyes. I didn't just see it, I felt every emotion. I relived my mistakes, and I felt the pain I had caused others. No one blamed me, no one punished me. It was me. I was the one who felt, fully and completely, all the things I had once ignored. And in that moment, I understood. We are not judged by some grand courtroom after we die. We are simply shown the truth, the whole truth. No hiding, no excuses. Everything we've ever done, thought, ever silently allowed, still exists. And it shapes our soul, the way each brushstroke forms a painting. I don't know how long I drifted in that space. There was no time here, no seconds or hours. Each moment felt like forever, and forever felt like a single blink. Then the light appeared. It wasn't a harsh light, not like headlights or the blazing sun. It was a soft, warm, golden glow that seemed to come from everywhere and yet from nowhere, as if it wasn't shining on me, but from me, from everything. The light began to draw near, and then it spoke. Not with words, not with sound, but through a direct knowing, so pure it took my breath away. I am the light. I am the source. I wanted to kneel, but I had no body. All I could do was be quietly present before an ocean of love. And the light began to take form. Not a face, not a religion, not a gender. But I knew with absolute, unwavering certainty that this was the source of all life. It knew me, every second I had lived, every thought, every struggle, every hope, every time I smiled just to hide the pain. All of it is clear. as wind brushing across the surface of a still lake. I wasn't judged, I wasn't interrogated, but within that light, I saw myself. And then I heard a question, soft as a breath, yet it shook my soul to its core. What did you learn from the world? I was silent. I thought about my job, my career, the house I bought, the car I drove. And then all of it faded like dust in the wind. What remained were the things I had loved. I began to weep, even though I had no tears left to cry. I answered, I've learned that love is the only thing that's real, and I missed it far too often. The light said nothing, but I felt it embracing me, an embrace without form, and yet it melted me completely. No more fear, no more shame. Only one overwhelming, absolute feeling. You are loved, simply because you are you. Then the light showed me something. I saw the earth small and quietly spinning in the vast darkness of the universe. But surrounding it were thousands, millions of other points of light, as if every soul, every living being, every loving thought was a tiny spark circling that little planet. I saw that Earth wasn't just a world, it was a classroom, a dimension designed for our souls to learn how to love, how to hurt, how to forgive, how to trust, all under the hardest conditions. I was shown that everything there had a purpose. Pain, illness, loss, betrayal, all of it was tools meant to lead us into the deepest layers of existence. And then I was given a choice. You may stay, the light said, or you may return. Take with you what you've seen. I hesitated. I saw my parents. I saw my wife. And then I saw my son sitting alone in a hospital hallway, his eyes red and swollen, clutching the teddy bear I gave him when he was 3. I heard my son ask his mother, "Is Daddy never going to take me to soccer again?" My heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. I looked toward the light and whispered, not with my mouth, but with everything that was left of me. "If I'm allowed to return," I said, "please let me live as a soul, not just a body that walks." The light smiled. Not with a mouth, but I felt it. Everything you've seen already lives inside you. Don't forget. And when you return, tell those who are still asleep. Then, everything began to pull away. The light faded, not because it was disappearing, but because I was leaving it. I felt the weight return. My chest grew heavy. Pain rushed in like a crashing wave. The smell of antiseptic. The beeping of a heart monitor. Blurred figures hovered above me. I gasped as if my soul had slammed back into my body with a violent jolt. A doctor shouted, "He's back! We got him!" I opened my eyes, and for the first time in my life, I truly knew what it meant to be alive. I came back, but I was no longer the man who had left. I woke up in a hospital bed. My eyes are still burning. My chest aches like someone had pressed a boulder down on it. The room was all white, machines beeping in slow, steady rhythms. I couldn't speak for the first few minutes, but I could see, and I knew I had returned to this world. A doctor leaned over, placed a hand on my forehead, and offered a gentle smile. "Welcome back, Mr. Miller." I simply nodded. My eyes drifted toward the window. Sunlight poured in, but it wasn't the kind of sunlight I used to know. It wasn't just bright, it was alive. Every speck of dust in the air seemed to dance as if it had a soul of its own. Everything looked just as it had before, but I was no longer the same. The next day, when my wife walked into the room, she looked different to me. Not because she had changed, but because I was seeing her with new eyes. Eyes that didn't just see the woman who had stood beside me through the years, but also saw all the moments I had missed her. The times she waited for me to come home for dinner. The silent disappointment in her eyes when I was too busy with the noise of my own life. I held her hand tighter than usual. She began to cry, and I cried too. Neither of us said a word, because some things don't need to be spoken. When my son walked in, I pulled him into a tight hug. He flinched for a second, then wrapped his arms around my neck. I couldn't remember the last time I held him that long. Maybe when he was 4, and now he was 12. I whispered into his ear, "I'm sorry for being absent, even when I was right there." He didn't fully understand the words, but he felt something. Because for the first time, I saw in his eyes not just surprise, but a flicker of light, as if he had just found a piece of his father. He thought he had been lost for a long time. In the weeks that followed, I couldn't return to life as it once was. I left my job, not because I was giving up on everything, but because I knew I no longer fit the role of an engineer, living for deadlines. I started writing, not a book, but a journal about the soul. I wrote down everything I had seen, every lesson I had learned, every fragment of truth that humanity so often tries to ignore. That we are not here to achieve something out there. We are here to come home to the inside. I no longer fear death, but I don't wish for it to come soon either, because now I understand. There's still work for me to do here. I began to share my story, not to become famous, not to make money, simply because I had to. Because if I stayed silent, then everything I was shown would mean nothing. I speak to those who are struggling with illness, with loss, with despair. Death is not the end, it's a door. And on the other side of that door, it is a home. I speak to those who've believed they were failures. You weren't born to prove anything. You were born to love and to be loved. I speak to those who are afraid of the future. This world is not here for you to control. It's here for you to learn to trust and to let go. And I always end with the same words. I died, and the only thing I regret is not living true to my soul sooner. There are nights when I wake up. Somewhere between sleep and waking, my heart is still racing. From the memory of the moment I left my body, those images have never faded. Not a single day passes without me remembering that light. Not a single moment without feeling grateful that I was given the chance to come back. Not just to keep living, but to truly live. I know you're listening to me, not with your ears, but with something deeper inside you. Maybe it's a crack in your heart, a memory that hasn't healed, someone you've lost, or a question you've never dared to speak aloud. What happens after we die? I went there, and I came back. Not to tell a dramatic story, but to hand you a mirror. Not to see your face, but to help you see into your soul. If tomorrow were your last day, would you forgive? Would you hold someone close? Would you stop trying to be strong just long enough to let yourself be vulnerable, be real, be human? If you've ever lost someone, I just want to tell you, you haven't lost them. We never truly lose each other. We're simply separated by two different dimensions. Some things can't be proven by science, things no device can measure, but you know they're real because your heart knows. I've seen them, the ones you thought were gone. They're still there, still smiling, still remembering, still waiting. And I promise you this, no one lives in loneliness. No one dies without being welcomed home. So if you still have your parents, call them today. If you're holding a grudge, forgive. And if you've forgotten how to love yourself, then right now, place your hand over your heart and say, I'm still here. I haven't given up. We don't live forever, but we can live fully. I died, and in that very moment, it was when I truly began to live. And you? Have you truly lived yet? If you're watching this video, leave the name of a loved one you've lost, along with a message for them. Who knows? They just might be listening.